Okay, hello everyone. Let's do the rest of our Europa and the Bull story that we started on Wednesday's video, or Tuesday's rather. Okay, so tomorrow there will be a translation vocab hybrid quiz. That is vocab on page 118. I'm going to pick 10 of those words. I'm going to pick one of the sentences from the homework. So definitely watch the homework check video if you didn't catch any of the streams. Um, Sorry to second period stream. That was a little short, but there is a video and hopefully you got something out of it. Uh, so I'm going to pick 10 of the nouns. Most of these words are nouns. I'm sorry, five. I'll pick five of them. And then I'm going to pick those two prepositions, slash ob, that means away from, and trans, that means across. And then I'll pick three of the five verbs, apello to name, kuro to run, like course or current, muto to change, like mutant, teneo is to hold, dito is to avoid. I will also likely ask you about an ablative, whether it is an ablative of means, accompaniment, or manner. And sorry, yeah, means is the one without cum, where you're having to understand to add a cum yourself, like the word with, basically, right? Let's see. Whereas accompaniment is with a person when the ablative is describing a person, and cum does show up, and manner, there is a cum that is present. I was thinking we might expand our OST must have sent to OME, and I'm just pronouncing the long I there. S isti T must his istis int. So that makes it maybe a little more complicated. But I noticed that at this point in the year, some people are still struggling with the person and number of verb endings. And that's got to be like our number one priority when translating, that we're understanding what's happening in terms of our parsing of the verb endings. That's just parse means like looking at the end and being able to determine things like person and number and tense. And so this is me just adding to OST must have sent to acknowledge the tenses that we've added. Imperfect and pluperfect verbs and an M in the first person singular, whereas first person singular perfect verbs and then that long I, like veni vidi vici. And then second person ones in the perfect tense have this weird isti, istis kind of thing going on. All right, you might not remember where we left off, but Jupiter was interested in this Phoenician princess, Europa. And we have this sentence with a whole bunch of prepositional phrases. So he turned himself into a bull. Sibi did it. He gave himself formam tori, the form of a bull. And with speed, claritate from claritas, which I guess we got this chapter, but maybe is left off the vocab list on my PowerPoint. I will not quiz you on it. Unless maybe they maybe just gloss it in the story, actually. Okay, with speed from his own citadel in the sky through clouds to earth. Does cum claritate ex sua arca and kylo per nubes aterum. He ran, kukurit is perfect tense from kuro kura kukuri, so it's perfect. Europa cum suis amicis eravarat in loca remota. Remota means like remote. It's just an adjective. And this is ero errare with two R's, meaning to wander. We haven't seen that verb in a little while. And locus loci, we get the word location from, but it means more like place. So Europa, eraverat, it's from ero errare eravi. So it's one of our perfect tenses if the V is showing up, and it is pluperfect. So it's Europa had wandered, and I'm going to add astray. She had wandered astray. You could also say what else? What arrow errare to wander, to make a mistake. Make a mistake wouldn't be right here. So wander astray sounds pretty good. Had wandered astray. Cum suis amicis is the part we need to translate now. And remember, sua sua suum is just gonna be his or her or its own. In this case, it'll be her own because Europa's a girl. So with her own friends. And where is this happening? In a remote location. Both her own friends and remote location are ablatives. They're objects of their respective prepositions, cum and in, respectively. And the next sentence is kind of weird. Um, the subject is at the very end of the sentence. So, but it's not just bull, it's that great bull to Haas Wainit. Wainit is a verb we should be getting pretty used to by now. Veni vidi vici, right? I blank, right? So that great Taurus came to Haas. Hopefully Haas looks like that's H-A-S, looks like it's from Hikaikaktiu, because it is. So is this going to be these or those somethings? And then A makes me think feminine, and I know they're probably talking about Europa and her friends. So it's going to be these women. We can add women knowing that the gender of Haas is feminine. Because we wouldn't want to just say these, and we can be more specific than people. All right. I like the color scheme here. Sola Europa, Anomalia, Semper, Amavera. Let's do that part first. Solus, we see Solus a good bit. So this is Europa alone, or like Europa only. Nam is that new conjunction. It just means for. Something about animals. Oh, okay. We have Amaverat from amo, amare, to love. There's amo, amare, amavi. So this is one of her perfect tenses. And once again, it's pluperfect. So for she had, semper, always loved animals. So Europa, since she had always loved animal, remonsit from rimaneo, rimaneira, remonsi. That's just remained, perfect tense, with the bull, cum toro. Let's gloss some words here. Column is neck, brachius is arm. Teneo is our new verb for hold, teneo, teneri, tenui. So let's see, something about a neck, and maybe it's his or her neck, and then we have something about his or her own arms, and then we have Europa. Is that the subject all the way at the end there? Europa held, tenuit. The U makes teneo, teneri perfect tense. So Europa held maybe his neck with her own, oh, here we go, arms. Okay, and then so I didn't even list it, but this is an ablative of means right here, or I didn't make a little tag for it, but because it's just floating there, and it can make this sentence confusing. You're like, you got something about a neck and some arms, but the arms don't go with a preposition. The neck is the direct object. That's what Europa held. Pretty weird sentence structure if we're thinking of English sentence structures, which we shouldn't. But Europa being right next to the verb, and then the direct objects at the beginning of the sentence, and then there's a prepositional phrase that's lacking its preposition. But that's how the ablative of means works. You have to add it with yourself. Sine mora, without delay. Trans mara. Trans is this new preposition that means across, and mare might not look like it, but that's actually its accusative form. So trans takes an accusative. Without delay, across a sea, illa, eam, troxit. We don't see draho, trahara too much. It can be draw or drag, or I'm going to go with pull here. And it's draho, trahara, troxy. So if the X is showing up, it's that man like pulled or has pulled her, but just verb is better here. And I should make that her, eam, red. Eam is usually her. Eum is usually him. Eam. Okay. Last big chunk. Europa periculum sensit et exclamavit. Both of these verbs from sentio sentire, exclama exclamare, exclamavi are, and this is from sentio sentire, saincy. Both of them are perfect. Europa sensed danger and shouted, or like has sensed. I don't think that has helping verb works for most of these perfect tense verbs. It sounds weird. Oh, said Jupiter. And then something bella femina, and so dixit Jupiter said, bella femina, the beautiful woman. Or okay, this was confusing me when you first see bella femina. It sounds like Jupiter is like talking about a woman, and she's the subject of the sentence. But actually, I mean, think of the context here. He just said like, oh, and the editor is telling us like he said. So we're entering dialogue, right? So it's more like beautiful woman, like he's talking to her. That's vocative. Nola malai. Nolus can be no or none. Here I think it's gonna be like no bad. But then sententia, no bad thoughts. Sententia can literally be sentence, or it can be a thought or an opinion. No bad thoughts. Sunt are in meo animo. It can be in my mind. And another way of saying no bad thoughts are in my mind, which is a touch awkward sounding, we can say there are no bad thoughts in my mind. I mean, the former was fine, but this sounds a little better to me. Non-mors. This is a new noun. Mortis. It'll show. Golduck will say it in a second, but it means death actually. So not death, but fama gloriaque, fame and glory, tibi, wanient. Venio venire. That e makes that verb future, so it's will. No death, but fame and glory will come to you. Oh, wait, I totally skipped. I am not a bull, but am a god. Sorry, non-Taurus said deus ego sum. It's like not a bull, but a god. I am. And you can kind of move I am to the front of the sentence if you want it to sound like more typical English structure. All right, and then we did this sentence. Got ahead of myself. Not death, but fame and glory will come to you. For tuum nomen, something about your name, but that might not be the subject. Yeah, this is kind of weird actually. The subject, if we're looking at this whole sentence, would be poeti. So it's poets. Poets, and how do I know that? So nomen could be a subject or a direct object because it's a neuter noun. It is the first noun we're seeing, so it makes sense for us to think it's a subject. But I'm kind of just looking ahead. I'm saying my verb is younger to join. I don't think the name is joining anything. If anything, poets will join your name, tuum nomen. And this is great poets, magni poeti. Magni might not look like it's going with poeti, but that's because poeti is masculine, actually. Great poets will join your name, cum meo, with mine. So he's saying, like, oh, don't freak out. Now you're part of a myth, basically, because you're interacting with a Greek god. You're going to end up in poetry, like Ovid's Metamorphoses, and that should make you calm down. We'll read about what happens to Europa after this. I don't know if we know too much. I'm getting her mixed up with Io, another woman who herself turns into a cow. But maybe I can follow this up next week for our Myth Tuesday, since y'all have Monday off. But yeah, she makes it to Greece, but I just don't know what happens to her after that. I'm trying to Wikipedia it rapidly. So guys, please look over the vocab. Take your test tomorrow. It's technically not due till Sunday because that's just kind of the norm for e-learning to have that delay, even though we're all kind of supposed to be syncing up right now. But don't make yourself do it on Saturday or Sunday. That doesn't sound fun. So go ahead and do that. There will also be a sentence from the homework, so please go over that as well. Europa becomes the first queen of Crete. Okay, we're definitely gonna talk about Crete, if not next week when we get back from all of this craziness at the very end of the month before April, because Crete has the Minotaur Bull, it has King Minos, it has Theseus, the hero who goes into the labyrinth, and there's a lot going on with Crete. That's an island just to the south of Greece. Or yeah, it's an island. It's a pretty big one though. Okay, that's kind of fascinating. So she goes to Crete. So she doesn't go all the way to Greece. That kind of makes sense though, because Crete is closer to Libya or to your, yeah. All right, I'm going to pick 5 of these nouns and 3 of these verbs and both of the prepositions. Let me know if y'all have any issues. Good job getting back into e-learning so quickly. Though more of you need to show up to streams when streams happen, but that's cool, I guess. And yeah, take your test on Friday and let me know how that goes or if you have any issues. And otherwise, have a good long weekend, though one that probably involves staying inside because of the snow. So, goodbye.